boxing are a very big issue.
So all right, guys. Yeah, feel free to chat about it in our chat, and then yeah, let's talk about the next thing here. All right, so the next thing is Themba Gorimbo gets replacement fight against Pete Rodriguez. So Themba was supposed to fight BDK Crossbie, and Crosby was reported to be injured. This was just a couple of days ago. And just before the announcement of the injury, there was already a replacement fight. So it happened very close to each other. So now Themba is going to fight Pete Rodriguez. So what a lot of people don't know is that so what a lot of people don't know is that before this happened, there had been a bit of a back and forth going on between Themba and Crosby. Okay, so what happened was when Crosby, when the fight was announced, and if you remember the 7 box story of Themba Gorimbo and then the Dwayne the Rock Johnson and the Rock giving Themba a house, BDK commented on something, and to and it didn't sit well with Themba. Apparently, Themba has been keeping this guy in his heart. No wonder Themba was
I
telling
just
us
sit
that
down with me too.
no wonder Themba was telling us, I'm going to knock this guy out in the first round. I'm going to knock him out. That is because of what Crosby said. And ladies and gentlemen, in case you missed it, here is what Crosby said. And I quote, this is from Crosby. It's official. 10 weeks' time, I make my real debut in the UFC. Full camp this time. I hope your daddy, The Rock, bought you life insurance to go along with that gaff, you little moocher. Because I'm coming for that head. Crosby wrote in reference to Themba Gorimbo's story of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Basically, let me translate Irish for those that don't understand. What he said was, uh, he's because his debut fight apparently was a quick notice fight and he got finished. So he has never had a win in the UFC, and this would have been a chance for him for redemption against Themba. And he was
Himself.
saying, oh, he's got 10 weeks, he's got a full fight camp. And he added to Themba that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in Themba's daddy, and then he hopes that Themba got a life insurance to go along with the house that Themba got for The Rock. To be honest, it is very, very disrespectful. The Irish guy might be looking at it like, yeah, it's the fight base, we've got to sell a fight and all that. I get that. I get that. But Themba didn't get that because Themba said this was after the fight to pull out in the fight. And I'm sure it really, really hurt Themba because when someone says things like that and you want to get to that person and then all of a sudden you cannot legally hit that person anymore, yeah, it must be nice to be a fighter, right? Where you are legally allowed to beat somebody up. Anyways, he says, this is Themba's response. Themba says, it's funny what happens when you have so much to say about someone whom you don't even know, then go on to pull out of the fight. Unlike you, I wish you nothing but recovery from whatever it is you that was injured. Yes, it's the fight business, but try and watch a little on what you put out. You now need the medical insurance. Good luck with everything in your life. We all not perfect, but spread love, not hate. Be yourself. Your mind think you selling the fight that is on a fight night is mind blowing. There can only be one corner, my man. Anyways, so so that was Themba's response, and I must say Themba did put out some screenshots as well with regards to this this exchange, and also Themba went ahead to show appreciation to Pete Rodriguez for accepting the fight. As you can see from our comment section here, he says, "Respect, Pete. It's a blessing to share the cage with you this February 3rd." So, and I must say also, Pete has a very very crazy nickname. His nickname is Dead Game. That's crazy. That's a cool nickname. Anyway, so that is it with regards to Themba and Pete and Crosby. So, what do you think about this fight falling off, basically? And what do you think? Do you think we have a better fight now than the previous one?
Depending on whose perspective I'm talking from. So, from the Themba Gorimbo perspective, my brother. So I'm happy with this matchup. Big respect to Pete Rodriguez, but I feel it's a favorable one for Themba in the fact that he's not very experienced yet, and he's one in the UFC, right? And then I think he has a record of five professional wins and one loss. So Themba is way more experienced. I think in terms of experience, the gap is very, very clear. And I see Themba making light work of this one.
Well, so here's my thing. What type of well, when opponents is being switched and the fight game in camp you've been planning,
Mhm,
obviously the fight is still a couple of weeks away. You can always
mhm,
switch your style, your approach basically of the fight. But the way it was sounding, it's like Temba intended to strike with Crosby because he was talking about knocking him out. But
mhm,
then with Pete, who is a very, very good striker, his last win was a knee. But like we know Pete is a very good striker. And if Temba grapples with Pete, it's a smart thing to do. He's going to win the fight. But is that
mhm.
what Temba wants to do? Because I know Temba wants to make an announcement with his name, obviously with the Dwayne the Rock Johnson hype and the UFC wanting to push him. What is he going to do in that fight? Is he going to do the right thing? Not the right thing. Is he going to do the obvious thing to win a fight, which a lot of people would think is boring if he grapples? Or is he going to try to stand and bang? I guess
Mm,
we would have to
we'll
hear
have to
from the
see.
host. We'll have to hear from the horse's mouth as well without him
We'll
putting
have
his
to
game
see.
plan
But
away.
very quick one, right? I don't maybe because I am not a casual, right? But then really I feel like the fans are appreciating grappling more nowadays. And if he's able to implement a game plan wherein he has a good transition from the striking to grappling and he's able to get a finish by way of submission, that
Mm,
is fantastic. That is an ideal situation.
yeah, I know Temba wants a finish on this one. He doesn't want a unanimous decision victory. This is actually a better fight than the last one. Uh, but story wise, hype wise, because of the little animosity in the last one, it would have been more entertaining for the casuals, to be
You
honest. And
never
I'm sure
know.
Temba really, really wanted to put that guy out,
You
Crosby.
never know. You never know
But
what Pete is going to say within the
But
next
yeah,
couple
yeah,
of weeks.
the discussion on Reddit is that Temba is going to steamroll Pete. A lot of people regard Temba to be the more talented fighter. And we've got Courageous Empire here saying 10-8 for Temba. I think he's talking about Crosby with regards to that exchange. I think I'm going to make a graphic about that exchange between Temba and Crosby and put it out because it is not very well documented. So I would document it properly and put it out there. All right. That is it with regards to our boy Themba, the answer Gorimbo. Now let's switch to another South African country in Uganda, or is it East Africa? Ugandan Ugandan boy David Onama reportedly gets back in there. So he posted via his own Instagram page about his fight with Mel. Oh, I'll call him Melk. They call him Melk Costa. If you don't know him, that's that Brazilian kid that has the skin condition. He kind of look, it makes him look gangster as well, and then he paints his hair rainbow.
And it
He's
looks
a
unique.
yeah,
You can't
yeah.
miss him out.
Wait, let me share my screen so you folks can see who I'm talking about here. So that's Melk Costa, Melchizel Costa. He's 20 and 7, Brazilian. Just so you know, African fight farm, Africans against Brazilians right now in the world of MMA or in the world of UFC, we are 7-2. We only lost twice to Brazilians. Twice. Kamaru Usman is 4-0 against Brazilians. Easy lost one to the Arrow guy, Alex Pereira, and
You got that
and
one back.
Sodiq lost to Barboza.
Ah,
So
that was a
that's
close
that's
fight.
it. So David Onama, just so you know, you are waving the African flag on this one. We always beat Brazilians, and this is your chance to add to the tally of that. Mel Costa is has 20 and 7. Before he made his UFC debut, he had already fought over 20 professional fights. which is quite a lot. But for Brazilians, I'm not very surprised because they have a lot of local promotions there that they could use to, you know, pad their stats. If you for a lack of a better phrasing to use it. All right. So David Onama, in case you forgot, he was meant to fight in UFC Brazil earlier this year, and the fight fell off because he was injured. And this is the fight that he would love. He was about to fight Lucas Alexander, and he obviously had to pull out. As I told you earlier, we only knew about this fight because David Onama himself posted it, but there hasn't been any article out there reporting this fight. But because David Onama has said it, I guess we gotta believe it. So it's gonna be an exciting fight for sure. But what do you think on this one?
Brazilians. This guy, he's hell of a tough guy. But Onama, I think Onama is an elite level talent in this division. But when you see when you feel like a person has not achieved like the fullness of their potential, yeah,
Hmm.
that's where I view Onama. I don't know what it is, right? I feel like he probably where does he train? Where does he train? I don't know where he trains, but
I believe he changed gyms because his last gym had some legal issues going with I think there was some court case with a coach and gambling that
oh
was going on.
oh
Then he
okay,
changed gym. I can't remember the guys he trained with. His last fight was with his new gym or his new
okay.
coaches or whatever. And there was a significant difference in the way he approaches fights in that last fight,
Boom,
in the sense that
boom.
he was much more calmer than usual. And it was actually heavily announced by the announcers, I remember, in that fight about how his approach was before he got that uppercut finish that he stood and fired the bow and arrow, just like
Good.
Izzy did. That was a very well calculated fight. I think David Onama
Delicious.
is like maybe one or two fights away from being in the top 15s of the division. Sorry.
Really. And he's going to hold his own
Yes.
against them. But then I just feel like he needs to mature into it. He shouldn't brush into that, a contender position. But then once he is there, don't worry, you'll see the future will prove it
Another
right.
another thing about David Onama, yeah, is since he got into the UFC, every fight night he gets the bonuses. Because this guy, even when he lost to Landwehr, right? Ledware, his name is?
Nate,
Sorry. Yeah,
Nate,
Nate. He lost to Nate. That fight was like regarded by many to be a fight of the year last year, or was it 2 years ago? And then even in his debut fight against the British guy, he got the bonuses, and then he got another finish, got a bonus. He's got 4 bonuses now in the UFC since he joined. Every time
bonus
he makes an
control.
appearance, he gets a bonus. So he's going to keep that streak going, I believe, against Melk. But it's
Hopefully.
it's going to be far away. It's going to be in March, so we're going to hold off to seeing that. I guess we'll try to get a conversation in with David Onama to hear where his head is at and what's going on with him if he lets
Interesting.
us. Yeah, but yeah, you excited to see David Onama back in there?
Definitely, definitely. I pray this guy's potential match up with his credentials. A lot of times potential and credentials do not match, but for sure, he's courageous empire. You got it right. He is a future contender and hopefully a future champion.
The Courageous Empire, tell us, I beg, which country you dey stay? Where are you?